Hello, welcome to Jason the Old Millennial. My name is Jason, speaking here in my basement in the great state of Kansas. This video, I'm finishing up my series on ranking every single Best Picture winner. This was actually made before this last Oscars. I was trying to get this in before the Oscars ceremony, but I've been having a lot of trouble lately with losing power in my house and stuff, and so everything kind of got pushed back. Anyway, so I finally got around to trying to finish this series out. But yeah, ranking every single Best Picture, which there was 95 at the time. Of course, we have a new Best Picture winner, which is Oppenheimer, which I'd have to add next time. Probably, I think maybe in 5 years, I'd have to redo this list because then we'd get to 100, which would be cool. We can do a top 100 or rank 100 Best Pictures, that'd be cool. But right now we got 95 that I'm doing. And yeah, so I got 5 more movies left to talk about. And I have all 5 movies on Blu-ray so I can show them. And these are 5 of some of the best movies ever made. So, and these are, all 5 movies are like, almost top 10 movies of all time for me. Definitely all like top 15 favorite movies of all time. So that's how good these movies are. So I criticize the Academy for giving the Oscar to movies that don't deserve it. But these are 5 that definitely deserve it here. And so, yeah, let's get to it. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's doing well here on a Saturday. I'm a little down at the moment. I just saw my favorite team, basketball team, the Kansas Jayhawks. They just lost in the second round of the NCAA tournament. Lost by 21 points, so it was a pretty bad game. They got trounced by Gonzaga, so it's the last game of the season, so no more KU basketball, no football to go back on. I mean, the good news is the Chiefs won the Super Bowl, so I can still go watch the footage of the Chiefs winning the Super Bowl and get my spirits up some more. But to me, it's like, I just can't wait till the football season starts again and can see my Chiefs play again. But yeah, what a disappointing season and disappointing loss for the Kansas Jayhawks anyways. But enough of that. Get into the subject at hand here. Yeah, this was a list I put together, and I've seen all 96 now. 96 Best Picture winners, all the way from 1929 to 2023. And yeah, so these are 95 movies between 29 and 2022. But there were 2 Best Picture winners in 1930, so that's why it gets to 95 here this year, or before this last one. Anyway, so yeah, this was because actually this was from a year ago. My sister Abby won the Oscar contest, and she got to name my next project that I was going to work on, and that was ranking all 95 Best Pictures. It took me a while to get to it because I still had other projects going on, like ranking the Beatles. So I'm still on the ranking my 100 favorite albums, which I'm getting close to finishing that series, and some other stuff I was doing. So it took me a while to get to this series, but once I got to it, yeah, going down, it took a little while because it's 95 movies to talk about. But I'm now down to my top 5 favorite Best Picture winners. And so thanks a lot to my sister Abby for suggesting this project on my channel. I just had an Oscar contest this last time, and Jackson from Horsetooth Cinema won it, and he picked my next project, which is ranking my 100 favorite movies all time. So that'll be the next big project I'll be doing on the channel. It's talking about my 100 favorite movies all time, which should be a lot of fun. Interested in hear what you guys think of, but my choices are there. So yeah, that'll start before too long. I got my list together, and I'm ready to go through it. So we'll do that. I should say second place was Ryan Swells, and his channel is Ryan Swells. And he got to pick like a series for me to watch. And he ended up picking a TV series, old British TV series called Fawlty Towers, starring John Cleese. And so I watched the first episode so far. So I'm going through Fawlty Towers, which is like 12 episodes long. and going to talk about that TV show. So that should be interesting. I don't talk about TV shows as much. But yeah, so those are the projects I'm working on at the moment for that. But yeah, so again, thanks to Abby she didn't have a YouTube channel, so I can't promote her channel, but thanks for, participating. I appreciate it. My sister also got 3rd place this year, so she still needs to name me a movie or an album for me to review on the channel. So, all right, so let's get to number 5, my 5 favorite Best Picture winner. And this came from 1995, and that is Braveheart, starring Mel Gibson, directed by Mel Gibson, telling the story of the Scottish leader, William Wallace, if I can do my Scottish accent there. I love the Scottish accent. It's so cool to listen to. Yeah, huge movie for Mel Gibson. He was already directing. Of course, he's a huge star already in the 80s and into the 90s. And he directed, I think, maybe one other movie before this. So this was a big, epic movie to direct. In fact, I actually saw this movie. This was the second rated R movie I ever saw in my life. I saw it at a friend's house. He had the VHS tapes, and this movie's so long, it's like 3 hours long, that he had to have 2 VHS tapes. So it was a big box with 2 VHS tapes. So you had to put one in, and halfway through you had to take it out, put the other one in. So I remember I saw it at a friend's house, and of course it was definitely the bloodiest, goriest movie I ever saw, because it's only the second rated R movie I ever saw in my life, and boy, I was in for a treat with the amount of limb chopping and so forth in this movie. But I still loved it at that point and I said this was, when I was like maybe 12 or something like that. I saw this movie for the first time. No, that could be right. Maybe I was more like 15 or something like that when I first saw this movie. I don't know. But anyways, because it came out when I was about 13. Now I'm trying to do the math. 12. No, I was 12. I was 12 years old when it came out. So I probably saw it a year or two after it came out on VHS at my friend's house. Anyways, yeah, I thought it was a cool movie. And the more I watch it, the more I just absolutely loved this movie. And yeah, like I said, huge. 1 Best Picture, 1 Best Director for Mel Gibson, who starred in it. He didn't get nominated for Best Actor, which to me is insane because he should have been nominated. He gave a really great performance. I also should shout out, I don't know, gosh, it's not on here. Now I'm not going to remember the actor's name, but the guy who plays his best friend Hamish, who's a great character, one of the greatest character actors of all time, who was in Harry Potter, and he's been in a bunch of stuff. He just got nominated for Best Supporting Actor a couple years ago. Brendan Gleeson, who plays Hamish. First time I ever saw Brendan Gleeson in a movie, and I thought he should have gotten nominated too. I thought he gave a great performance as Hamish. Anyways, but yeah, of course, it's an epic movie. I love it's my favorite musical score. James Horner should have won an Oscar for the score. It's just an incredible score. I still love listening to that score. The dun 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 dun, the bagpipes, the flute. Oh my gosh, so much good Scottish flavor there. Also, the cinematography is absolutely amazing. I love the beginning part when you see all the mountains and stuff like that. Which I heard that's actually Ireland. They shot in Ireland because Ireland's prettier than Scotland, I've heard. But anyway, still, I love the scenery of all the mountains and the green hills and stuff like that. Really beautiful scenery there. So much to love about this. Love the whole idea behind the movie of patriotism. Of course, I'm not Scottish, but I'm very patriotic as an American. So I kind of get into the patriotism of the movie. Like, yeah, freedom, because America is all about freedom. We're all about having freedom. We had to fight the British ourselves to get our freedom. So we know what it's like to fight the British for our freedom. Anyway, so as the Scottish did in this movie. Anyway, so I do appreciate that, freedom is so important. It's worth dying for. So I agree with that message of the movie that, yeah, freedom is so important to your country and to, your culture. So I love that. I mean, I think the performances are great. The fight scenes are epic. Some great lines in this whole movie and some comedic moments. Great ending, climatic ending, very emotional. Even the love story is really good here. But yeah, I love this movie. Braveheart, number 5. Number 4 on my list is a movie that I've probably seen the longest. I've watched it since I was a little kid. It's a favorite movie of my parents, and that is Ben-Hur, which won Best Picture back in '59. So the oldest movie here in this top 5. But still, another epic movie. I do have a lot of epic movies in my top 5 for a good reason. If you do epic movies well, I love the big swashbuckling epics, what they call sword and sandal epics. These 3 hour, normally 3 hour movies are too long, but if you can do it right, you can do a good 3 hour movie correctly. And I have a couple here, 3 hour movies here in my top five, including this one. It's like 3.5 hours. It's a really long movie, but I still love it. I don't get bored with it. I think it's a great story, great performance from Charlton Heston and a lot of the actors, and I just love the epic feel of it. Um, of course, like I said, I've watched this movie since I was like a little kid. I grew up watching this because my parents loved this movie and they were always watching it. And of course, it's very, emotional, coming from a Christian standpoint, because there's a lot about Jesus here, because this whole story is this guy Ben-Hur is living during the time of Jesus, and we do see Jesus being crucified, so it kind of coincides with Jesus's crucifixion. Jesus, not a main character, he kind of comes in and out of the story, interestingly enough, at important points for Ben-Hur. But yeah, that scene where we see Jesus being crucified, definitely emotional scene for me. I always cry at that scene. It's a beautiful scene. I mean, it's terrible that it's happening, but it's beautiful because of the subject matter, the symbolism of Jesus dying on a cross for our sins. And sorry, I've been having problems with my ring light keeps going out, so it's gonna be a little dark on me, and so we'll just have to deal with that. But you can see me. Yeah, so that's cool. I love that they have Jesus in there. It's a cool, best friends kind of in this revenge story in some senses. It's a guy who gets put in prison for no good reason and has to get his way out. And it's just so many great scenes in here. The rowing scene and the battle scene with the boats. I love that whole part. Obviously, the highlight is the chariot racing. That is an awesome scene. Anybody who watches it loves that scene. That's always the best scene of the movie. And it is, because there's no special effects. It's all them riding real chariots with real horses, going around in this circle. I don't know how, it must have been pretty difficult to shoot. I mean, even by today's standards, I think it was a pretty impressive shot, shooting that whole scene. And it's a pretty long scene, pretty pivotal to the story. But yeah, that's such an awesome scene to watch. But then the end is so great. It's a great, I won't give it away, but there's a happy ending to it. Very inspirational, I think. And we even see him kind of basically convert to Christianity basically by the end, which I like that part as well. And it's kind of about a guy that's bitter with, he's bitter, he's angry, and he's going to do something bad. And the idea at the end is that, to get rid of your bitterness and your anger, and have forgiveness and all this. So it's a lot of great stuff here. Long, but I think amazing movie. Ben-Hur. Number 4 on my list. All right, number 3 on my list. Another epic. Wait a minute. Now I'm gonna change my mind actually at the last second, and I'm gonna go with this movie at number 3. The greatest underdog story maybe of all time, and that is Rocky. Sylvester Stallone here. His first big movie, won Best Picture in 1976, and it was during a time where it was like the feel-good movie. There was other movies that were like maybe better reviewed, but I think Rocky won because it was the best uplifting movie of that year, and it was a crowd favorite. It was a big box office movie. It was going up against like Network. Network was like the big movie that probably was going to win Best Picture, but Rocky came out in the end because I think it was just such a popular movie that it kind of won out. But it's an amazing movie. Sylvester Stallone, he wrote the movie, stars in it. His first big starring role. And I just love the character. Rocky is one of my favorite characters of all time. He's this tough guy. He's a boxer. He's rough in a way. He lives in a poor, neighborhood in Jersey, or I think New Jersey or something like that, or New York. And I guess it's probably New York. And yet he has this he's charismatic, I guess. He's very likable. He's comedic. He's telling jokes. He's funny. And he has a, good personality, and he's like for the most part, he's got a good positive attitude that you just love about him. And even when he gets this one in a lifetime opportunity to face the champ, Apollo Creed, he knows he doesn't have a chance. He's not in the league of this champion, boxer, but yet he decides that he's not going to quit, that he's going to work as hard as he can, and just go 15 rounds with him. He felt like that would be enough to make his life worth something. It's all about your worth in life. and working hard to get that and getting the opportunity and making the most out of it. Yeah, the last scene, obviously, it's a fantastic scene of the boxing. But I also love the character because he's very vulnerable at times because he's this rough, tough guy, boxer, but then he shows his vulnerability at moments, and that makes him just like him so much more, makes him more human, I guess, in that sense. And I love the Adrian Rocky love story. It's just absolutely fantastic. Adrian, who's this kind of, very quiet to herself, shy, kind of nerdy, mousy looking girl, and he kind of brings her out of her shell. And in that end scene with him going, Adrian, like he doesn't care. He lost. I'm spoiling it. He loses the fight, but he doesn't care. All he cares about is Adrian. They're like, hey, what do you think about the fight? And he's like, Adrian. Like, that's all he cares about. He wants Adrian. That's the most important thing in his life. I love it. Also, Burgess Meredith should have won an Oscar for, Sylvester Stallone should have won an Oscar for Best Actor. Burgess Meredith should have won an Oscar for Best Supporting Actor. I think he gives one of the greatest performances here as, I love you, Rocky. Such a great voice, such a great kind of friendship between them, I guess. Great chemistry, relationship that they have there. Yeah, it's just a fantastic story, fantastic character. Rocky at number 3. All right, number 2 now, I'm going to go with another epic movie, and that is Lord of the Rings Return of the King at number 2 on my list. This won Best Picture back in 2003. Huge fan of the Lord of the Rings trilogy. I watched all of them in the movie theater. I was a senior in high school when The Fellowship of the Ring came out. I watched the other ones while I was in college. And boy, I was so hyped up for this movie, and boy, did it deliver. Obviously, it's based off of a big fantasy series, Lord of the Rings, by J.R.R. Tolkien. But I didn't grow up reading the books. I didn't know anything until I watched the movies. I really didn't know anything about the movie, the story, the characters. But, it's the best fantasy movie ever made, in my opinion. And they saved the best for last. They really put everything in this. The special effects were just groundbreaking for the time. Still today, I watch that movie and just marvel at it. The motion capture, I've never seen motion capture really done like that before. Andy Serkis as Gollum is like the greatest, still to this day, probably the greatest motion capture character ever created. Felt like a real person. You're like, Gollum felt like real, it was just crazy. But yeah, special effects, all this CGI looked real. Unlike today, like even if you watch the Hobbit trilogy, all the characters looked CGI. But this, like, they didn't look CGI. They look like real, makeup, real costumes. They really built everything, So I thought they did a good job with that. Like I said, it's on a technical level, it's just bar none, just the best movie. As far as like I said, costuming is amazing, makeup work, special effects, cinematography, visual effects, sound, set designs are incredible. So probably some of the best set designs we've ever seen. Go down the score is amazing by Howard. I forgot his name, but yeah, I know it's Howard, something like that. Anyways, just a great score by him. I know it's in here somewhere. Anyways, incredible cast. Viggo Mortensen, Elijah Wood, Sean Astin, all killed it in their roles, I think. Great characters, some of the greatest characters, of course, written by J.R.R. Tolkien. They did a great adaptation of a really hard book to adapt, I think, and just the greatest ending of all time, like them defeating, spoiler, they defeat Sauron, and we get that, you bow to no one, they bow to the hobbits. It gets me every time I watch that scene. But also one of the greatest battle scenes of all time, at the end, and Gondor, facing off against the Uruk-hai, whatever army. That's like the greatest battle scene we've ever seen. It's just incredible to this day to watch that many. I know a lot of it's like CGI characters in the backgrounds, but still, it's incredible fight scene on an epic level. Yeah, everything about this is just absolutely amazing. Yeah, I just absolutely love this movie, Lord of the Rings Return of the King, at number 2. So number 1, if you haven't guessed by this point, what have I not talked about? It's another 90s movie, and this actually came right before Braveheart. So 2 really good movies back to back in the 90s, and that is Forrest Gump at number 1. It won Best Picture in 1994. Of course, starring Tom Hanks, an incredible role. In my opinion, Tom Hanks is my favorite actor of all time, and this is Tom Hanks' greatest performance. Not only did he become a different character, I felt like he lost himself in the character, if you know, as you say, like he became Forrest Gump. Like I watch it and I forget that I'm watching Tom Hanks. I just watch it and I think I'm watching this real guy named Forrest Gump. Like this was a real character. Like we're just watching like a documentary on this character. I mean, it's the accent, it's the way he looks, the way he presents himself. But man, he has some emotional moments. I mean, you know, Vietnam. There's some funeral scenes that are just very emotional. Like I cried multiple times during this movie. Very emotionally sad. It's also very funny. They definitely put a lot of comedy in it. But it's just a great story of this guy that, you know, is not very smart, but he's kind to people. He tries his hardest. And again, it's one of the greatest characters ever created. You just can't help but like this guy. He just doesn't know how to do anything but his best. He just said no because he's stupid. He just does his best all the time. He's not lazy. He doesn't slack off like other people might. And he's always loyal. He's very loyal. You know, and like his friendship with Bubba is amazing. Love that. And then it's a great love story actually between him and Jenny, which I always love saying that, Jenny. Yeah, it's kind of a great love story in the fact that she keeps disappointing him, but he never gives up on her, and they end up together at the end. Spoilers. So I do love that no matter what happens, they seem to always come back to each other. Fate binds them together, and I just love that. Also, Lieutenant Dan, played by the great Gary Sinise, should have won an Oscar Best Supporting Actor. I thought it was an amazing performance. And I know there's other good performances that year probably, but that was such a good performance. And the relationship they have, and how his character arc is amazing throughout the movie. Yeah, so many memorable scenes. I mean, Run, Forrest, Run, such a great scene. I said Vietnam War stuff is very, you know, it was great, emotional, what happened there. Then the whole him running it all over the United States, I think is a great sequence. And then the end when he finds out he has a son. I mean, I'm spoiling it. Sorry, I'm spoiling the heck out of this movie, but it's so good. Hopefully you've seen it by now. If you haven't seen it, I'm sorry. But when he finds out he has a son, that's such a great emotional moment. I mean, yeah, this movie just has everything. Comedy, drama, action. I mean, it's just a roller coaster of a movie. It's just one of the greatest stories ever written. It's based off of a book as well. But also great, I mean, Robert Zemeckis, I mean, he's one of my favorite directors. I mean, he directed this. He directed Back to the Future trilogy. I mean, he is just one of the greatest directors of all time, in my opinion. And also just an amazing score by Alvin Silvestri. He's one of my favorite music composers. I mean, just everything. Great score, great directing, some of the best acting ever. Just an amazing story with a very great ending to it that you feel happy at the end, feel good about this character, and you feel happy for him, that he's happy, you know, kind of in a sense. But yeah, I never get tired of watching this. I've seen this a million times. I saw it in the movie theater actually in '94. I was like 11 years old, so I was kind of young, but I saw it with my dad and my sister, actually my older sister, and I thought it was good back then. I love it even more now. And yeah, I watch this, it seems like at least once a year. Still get emotional about it, still laugh, still just get enthralled into the story. I love this so much. Forrest Gump, #1, favorite Best Picture winner. So that's my top 5 Best Picture winners. Feel free to comment. What do you think about these 5? Are they worthy of a top 5? Are they anywhere in your top 5? Let me know what you think. Or do you think none of these movies should be in my top 5? I don't care. I love to read the comments and appreciate people commenting on this. And thank you for going on this journey with me, ranking all 95 Best Picture winners. It's been fun doing the series. I'm a big Oscar fan, so I've seen a lot of Oscar movies in my life so far, and I keep up on them. It's always fun to kind of see what do people think is the best movies of the year, you know? And it's a bit of history. It's a bit of movie history. You kind of you watch them and you kind of feel like you get a little bit of history behind it. So I love that aspect of it anyway. So, but yeah, thank you to my sister for suggesting this, and just thank you everybody watching this whole series, and appreciate anybody watching and commenting on this. And just thank you to all my subscribers for supporting the channel. I appreciate all of you, and I hope you have a great weekend.